Hi, guys. Welcome to Chakra Sessions. I'm your host, Polly Jo Labbé, and I'm here with you on this glorious, March day. I don't know how it is where you guys are. It's really windy here, and Mother Nature has been stirring up a storm, and that's always good for moving energy. And I'm excited that we're going to get a chance to move some extra energy this evening. So tonight's show is all about generational healing and what that means. So one of the things that's really interesting that comes up is as a healer, people want to help their family. They want to help their kids. They want to help their parents. They want to help themselves. And sometimes it's an issue with everybody, in my family. Hi, Martina. Nice to see you. I'm glad you caught us. Woohoo. Um, you know, there are things that run through our family. My family on my mom's side, we have a little trouble with our right hip. So it's, my uncle has trouble with his right hip. My mom has trouble. My grandfather had a little trouble with his right hip. I have a little trouble with it. And my youngest son, he's had a little trouble with his tailbone, which I think is going to be an indication that it might be to his hip there too. So Linda, glad to be here. I'm really glad you were able to get in. Nice to have you. Welcome. Hi, Julie. Yes, we've got some big healing meditation to do tonight. So that's great. Sage, I'm glad you're here. We're going to do some family healing so we can tap that Wagner energy that you and I both carry. So yeah, it'll be great. And hi, Violet, nice to have you. And Linda, thank you for the love. That's always appreciated. So thanks, guys. Rachel, you're here too. Fantastic. Thank you for sharing with me the Winnie the Pooh Legos. You guys all know, well, maybe you don't, but Winnie the Pooh is my totem animal. That's why I have a lot of Pooh behind me over here. And anytime something new Winnie the Pooh comes out, Rachel's been like my go-to girl. So apparently Legos are coming out with Winnie the Pooh things. So I'm excited. I'm very excited about that. So that works great for me. So here we are. So tonight we're working on generational healing. And one of the things that, lots of times people come for energy healing or they go to the doctor and it's, something that runs through their family. Heart disease can run through the family. High cholesterol can run through the family. Having trouble with your knees or your hips or your certain part of the back or maybe hearing difficulty or your vision, right? Those are all things that, we've talked about probably in our lives as running through the family. So one of the things that is really cool is that because of our connection in energy healing, we can work on the whole family. We can actually work on the energy. I'm getting a little bit of an echo, Rob.
Having trouble with your knees or your hexion.
I can hear Rob's feed, I think. There we go. All right. So it was a little distracting. Sorry about that, guys. So when something runs through the family, you follow the energetic lineage of where that goes to. And you can remove the vibration that started that thing, and it can include like depression and addiction. There are a lot of things that run through families because we share so many similarities, and then we learn certain traits. And yes, there's a combination of nature and nurture, but you may find that like people, like say addictions may run through the family, and with one family member it might be alcohol, another family might be cigarettes, another person might be gambling, and they're all addictions, but it all may be connected to the same vibration, if that makes sense. So let's see who else is in the house. I'm glad Martina's saying, yes, I need this. And Rachel said, hi. Yes, thank you. And Sandy, hello. Nice to have you here. And Brenda, wow, hi. And Bree, you were able to get here. That's great. And Christine, oh, I love having you in the house. I love the artists in the house. Hi, sweetie. And Lisa, hi, how are you? And Jean, Jean's here too. I'm excited. Hi, Jean. So the really cool thing is that, you know, because energy is nebulous, but it has a signature. And so when you are doing healing, you can actually help your family out. It's not that you're doing healing to them, but you are healing your connection to it. So like depression runs through actually both sides of my family. And so it's one of those things that you can work on removing the vibration as you move it from you. You know, many healers know you can move 7 generations back and 7 generations forward to send the healing vibration out. But when you are somebody who knows how to work on lineage energy, so, you know, I can connect to, say, my great-grandmother. I have a sense of my great-grandmother. I met her a few times on my on my mother's side of the family, and I can connect to her and then go 7 generations back from there. So in a way, I can get all of that extra time, which is really cool. Hi, Julie. Nice to have you. And Kathy and Christine, glad to have you guys here. So when we are thinking about doing generational healing, it's really something that we're doing for us and for our children and our grandchildren or our nieces and nephews. I do healing for my cousins when I'm working on my stuff. It can spread to them, which is really cool. Not trying to interfere, but hey, if I'm doing a little work on depression and it works through part of your family, I'm all excited about that. Hi, Ellen. Nice to have you in the house too. So, you know, there are certain things that we've passed off as, oh, well, I'm destined to have this sickness, or I'm destined to have this emotional thing go on because it runs in the family. But nobody ever thought to put a stop to all the running. So Rob says, how do you heal a trauma that everyone can feel, but no one can describe because your great-grandfather was a curmudgeonly SOB who, despite speaking 7 languages, was loath to speak to anyone in anything other than German? So sometimes with a trauma, you know, it's each person may carry since everyone can feel it, they tend to feel it all in a similar location in the body. Asking for a friend. Great. I'm glad. And, you know, I did a clearing for family where there was a pattern, I'm going to call it a pattern, of sexual assaults. And so the woman knew it happened to her and to her, she thought possibly her mother, but she knew for sure her grandmother and her great grandmother. And as I traced it, there were divisions, like aunts and cousins and things who all had a similar type of attack energy happen. So going back through the healing as I was working with her and bringing her power back so she could release her victim and release that sensation of this happened to me, and it was impacting her reactions, her decisions. It was altering her life and who she was meant to be. And she was very clear about, she knew how much it influenced her mother's life, and wanted to shift that for her mother. And then holding that energy of that shifting, sending it through to her grandmother and her great grandmother, and actually went much farther than that. But that's as far as she needed to know, because it's hard enough to have that trauma. So if you have a trauma that everyone sort of feels, and maybe you have a sense of it's probably this kind of trauma, and it's influenced everyone, then you can trace that vibration backwards and you can go where it originated. So, and sometimes it doesn't even originate at the trauma that you know about or you're suspicious about. Often for that trauma to have occurred, it went back farther than that, because that person who was wounded, then lashed out by creating a trauma for someone else, and so on. It kind of ripples. So going back to, where did that first energetic thought come from, and bringing it forward. Go back to its root and bring it forward. And it's not cutting the cord. It's not removing the cord. It's dissolving basically the root system back to the seed of thought that first created it. And that can be there can be some big thoughts out there. I've worked on a client who had come from an area that had a lot of ethnic cleansing. And so that vibration not only ran through his family, but it ran through the whole culture, the whole country. And it really needed a good purge for him to not be holding the energy of all his ancestors, if that makes sense. And let's see. Sage said, yes, work away. Work away. I need the help one-on-one soon too. Yes, absolutely. And Julie says, interested in lineage healing for an orphan, one who does not know any genetic lineage. Absolutely. So with that, it's we have a sense, there are certain things that we may carry that, for instance, like you may have a thought, or children who've had abandonment issues, right? You've been abandoned in some way. That abandonment may actually have carried forth from the birth parents and prior to them. So it's like you could trace the abandonment issue through all the lineage of who carried it. You don't actually have to know who carried what. The female side of the lineage has their own signature, and the masculine has its own signature as well. So I'm able to differentiate between whether it's running through the males or the females, and whether it's running through the males and the female side, or you get what I'm saying. All of that. So that's one of those things that if you're like, wow, I've always been a little scared of spiders, say. And it's like, I have this big fear of spiders and I don't know where it comes from. And I never had an experience with a spider. Actually, snakes is probably better because there are a lot of people who have huge fears of snakes and haven't even seen one in person. That is a vibration that you're carrying forward. So whether you're carrying it from a past life or whether you're carrying it through because of your family lineage, you actually trace it in a very similar fashion. And you go back to where the vibration started, because there's this point where, imagine if it was a drum and the drum got hit and the sound traveled. So you just need to go back to when the drum collided with the hand or the mallet, and unconnect that start of that vibration, and it'll allow the vibration to stop moving. It's all part of the quantum. So let's see. When we work through issues, we heal 7 back and 7 forward. Yes, you can do that. And you can, to add to that, you also, if you go into, say, a past life from, of a past life where you experienced a trauma, like a lot of people have a past life where they know they were drowned, for instance. If you go back to that past life and you heal in that space, you're going 7 generations backward and forward from the drowning and from where you are now backward and forward. So you could do 28 generations in that fashion. So issues like beliefs, we've all been scripted with certain beliefs, and some of them made sense to keep you safe at a particular time, but they may not be relevant now. And if you don't want to carry that thought forward anymore, then it's your turn to break that connection and change the issue. So that could be our trigger response to trauma, whether it's, we freeze, or we flee your energetic body. Like there's one family that's coming in to my mind's eye, is that I have a student of mine who, whenever something difficult or stressful comes up in the family, energetically, they check out. They like leave the building energetically. They're not home. So she does it. Her siblings do it. Her father does it. Her grandfather does it. It's like it's a energetic response to a stress stimuli, and they do that. And she's working on releasing that. And when she's able to hold it long enough, and she's been able to do that recently, which I'm really proud of her about, then that healing can ripple through. So it's really fascinating. I'm really excited about it. So Julie says, do you believe in trauma bonding in family dynamics? Probably depends on what you mean by the word, but what I believe in is that trauma attracts trauma. So if you are somebody who, if a certain type of abuse happened in the family, it's likely that the family will carry that type of abuse forward, or they'll flip the other way completely. It's usually like if you imagine 2 sides of a coin, it's one side is the abuse side, and one side is the I'll never do that, where actually the energy is like in the middle, being more abuse isn't a good a good one to do that on, but trauma attracts trauma. So it can bring a family together in terms of they all shared a similar wounding, and so it can cause people to to come together because they have similar wounds. You see that in relationships, you know, that people come together who've experienced the same type of tragedy. And in a way, it's because they feel seen and they feel heard. But in terms of can trauma create bonds, you know, it can create positive ones because it can help them learn how to be resilient and stand together, but it can also create harmful bonds where it's, you know, everybody keeps the family secret. So I don't know if that totally correlates with what you were asking, Julie, but that's what's coming through. And hi, Marie, glad to see you. And Rob is saying 7 generations you were taught. Yep. And snakes. When human ancestors lived in the forest and trees, we were very much prey to snakes, especially young babies. What a threat. Yes. They were also used as torture devices. Snakes, spiders, rats. And they were also used for tests of your I can't think of the word. There's a test that used to happen in the Egyptian mystery schools where you had to walk through the snakes. And if you got bit and died from it, you weren't meant to be a disciple. I can't think of what that's called.
Test your metal.
Yes, test your metal. Yes, thank you. So yeah, there you go. So it was a proving grounds, right? Like warriors battling and seeing like who's the last one standing. It proves your resilience and things like that. And I'm sure there are other things that were definitely hazardous besides snakes. You know, that we might have that. Christine Pollock is saying, for me, if I'm visible, I'm not safe. If I'm in the background, I'm okay. Yes. That is, I knew what you meant. It's that, yeah, that I like to call that the invisibility cloak, where you can kind of put it on and not attract any attention. And that can happen when you collapse, you know, your energy as a shield. It's very hard for leaders to do that because they've got big outgoing energy. They've got a lot of front energy. So it's really hard to fully cloak and stay behind in the background. But yes, being quiet. A lot of people were taught, you know, if I didn't talk, then I was safe. I had a really hard time coming on camera. Thank goodness Neshi was like really good at like helping me because it's that visibility. It's that, you know, putting yourself out there. Now people see you and you can get hurt. That definitely can be a big problem for some people. When I was a dancer, I didn't like to dance on stage alone. Loved being in groups. Could do my thing in my group, but by myself, it was feeling all of that as an empath, right? When feeling all of that attention on you, and feeling that commingling, that can be extremely difficult. So I can totally relate to that. And yes, Rob said they could be used to blind. Yes. Yes, Rachel saying her friend had a big fear of snakes and never saw one. Yes. You know, there's a lot. Snakes is just one that comes up. I know that people have them with like the big hairy spiders or with rats or things like that. And fear of heights in different places. I'm somebody who had really big fear of heights. And I know part of it, my mom had a fear of heights. And so I think I responded to her fear and thought that was what I was supposed to have. But as I worked on clearing my fear of heights, I definitely had, when I went to Ireland, I had a life where I was pushed off the cliffs. I saw it very clearly there. I saw the energy signature, and was able to clear it in that space and clear it for a number of other people who jumped, from famine. They jumped because they were going to die. So heights is a big thing, because people have fallen, for centuries, millennia. And fire, there are a lot of people who have fears of fire because they may have been burned or experienced that. So those are past life, but energetically, that signature, you're still carrying it, because your soul, your core body, is the same energy. It still has a little bit of that vibration in it, and you have the opportunity to clear it. And so whether it's your family has it and you have it, I believe that we incarnate in our life. We choose the family that matches the criteria of what our soul needs to work on. So if our challenge is to, we need to learn how to receive, we may come into this lifetime and have, an accident where we have, we end up in a wheelchair or something like that, because then we have to rely on other people to help us. And that may be what our soul needed to work on. And so that heart issue, for instance, people talk about heart disease. Well, shutting down your emotions, shuts down your heart, shuts down your connection to other people. It leads energetically to heart disease. So if your family has a history of repressing their emotions, you might have heart disease in your family. And if people aren't allowed to express their anger, for instance, you might have people who have, a lot of ulcers or stomach issues or gallbladder trouble. All of those things could happen if we didn't get to express that. So, yep, Sage has the big fear of heights. Yeah, well, it was my mom too. So we're all in the Wagner family, right? So could be that direction. And Bree has the fear of drowning. Yeah. And I'm a firm believer that you don't actually have to go back and be re-traumatized by what might have been. All you have to know is that in the here and now, this is impacting my choices, my decisions, my reactions, and I want to change that. So if you have that type of thing, and it possibly, it's like, well, my mom does the same thing, or my dad does the same thing, then maybe it runs through generations, or maybe you just learned it. But either way, when you're doing the healing, you can send healing through to your parents or your grandparents or your children. Even if those children aren't conceived yet, or siblings or, nieces, nephews, or all of that, it's healing the vibration, stopping the ripple now. How's that? So if it's a ripple in the energetic field, you're basically stopping the vibration from rippling forward any longer and actually sending healing back to push the ripple back to where it came from. Phew, lots of confusion. Sorry, my channel's a little wonky today. I'm a little ungrounded. I warned Rob I was a little ungrounded today. So, just take a moment and think if there's anything that you've heard of, that people have difficulty within your family, like multiple things. Like I had mentioned, the right hip is a problem. I know it was a problem for my grandfather. It's a problem for my uncle, for my mother, for me. And one of my sons is showing, he's showing more tailbone, but I see it as like it could morph into that later. So those are things that it's like, that's an interesting pattern. You see it in more than one person. maybe that's something I would like to help clear. Or I know that, this type of cancer has run through my family, or that high blood pressure has run through my family. And maybe I don't have it yet, but there's certainly all the markers there. So maybe that's something I would like to send healing through. So if there's something like that for you right now, that would be great. We will do a clearing in a second. And it does work on mental illness as well, because mental illness is our response to it's how we react to our energy. It's how we react to our environment. So if we feel uncomfortable and we don't know how to express ourselves, it can create this energetic cloud of depression to come in. And if you are raised by somebody who's holding that cloud of depression, then you might think that's normal. So then you start carrying it too. So you may see some of that. I've seen like schizophrenia run through families. Depression's always the big one, but there can be things like bipolar, ADHD, or ADD. It might not have been called that in the older generations, but they might have said, that he had ants in his pants, or he wasn't good at school, he had trouble focusing, things like that. And it's like, oh, well, maybe they had a learning disorder at the time. That's another thing that can run through. And it's one of those things that, if you can imagine, that if each person did work on some of their own things and allowed it to move through to whoever also needed it in the family lineage, you really are creating a healing ripple for at least 14 generations, right? 7 front, 7 back. And how powerful is it for you to just do this little bit of work and allow that healing to go forward? So I encourage you we're going to do a healing. And so I encourage you to, if there's something that you know about for your family, set that intention that this is what you would like to clear or to start clearing. And if there isn't, you can just set the intention that if there's anything that my family is carrying that doesn't serve us any longer, I would love for healing energy to ripple through and start a pathway to new energy, new healing, and new experiences. That sound good? All right, I'm going to take a quick drink of my coffee. My favorite cup. Love is the main ingredient now that I'm here in Maine. So let's take a couple of deep breaths. And just really bring our energy and our attention into the present moment. Because it's important for us to be here so the healing can connect to us and through us. And we invite in the divine, however you may perceive that. God, goddess, oneness, consciousness, all that is. We welcome that energy in to connect to us and through us for this healing vibration this evening. And we ask to be held in a sacred container of infinite love and infinite light. so that we can feel safe and secure and grounded in receiving and sending healing through our energy and to any of our family who may need a similar release or who would like a similar release. And we ask our heart to connect to our root chakra, filling it with love, compassion, safety, and security, and allowing that root chakra to travel down each of our legs and through our feet, through the depths of the earth, connecting to the very center, expanding and holding our energy, and allowing Grandmother Earth's energy to come up and fill our body from our feet, up our legs and our hips, to our heart, all the way up to our crown and beyond, and asking the divine Grandfather Sky to fill our energy from above down through our crown, anchoring in our heart, and moving down, all the way down to the center of the earth, and allowing the energy to flow through each of our chakras, through each of the layers of our aura. Surrounding, protecting, and guiding us with the energy of the fullest, highest, and brightest vibration available to us in this moment. And we're going to focus on where we may feel, know, see, or sense an energy that is connected through our family. And just notice if you sense it, the connection in a particular spot, like your side or your back or your belly, your neck or your head, your shoulder. And just become aware of where the connection starts. And you may feel more than one. And now we gently connect to that vibration and ask the energy to trace where that energy was first perceived, where the first thought, the first word, the first action or reaction may have occurred. Through the generations, through our lifetimes, and at that place where that first spark created the ripple that you experienced within your own energy, collapsing the signature of that vibration, releasing it from the contracts, the Akashic records, the karma, and any other binding that may have held the energy still in motion. And also releasing it from within ourselves, so that the strand, the ripple, the energy has been released from its beginning and its end. Returning back to original creation energy in its fullest, brightest vibration. And calling the release complete in this and every moment, in each and every dimension, vibration, frequency, perception that it may have been held in. And then allowing any other energy to release and ground into Grandmother Earth, to send healing through her. In any way that she needs it. And taking a moment of gratitude for our spiritual teams and the divine for bringing us together in this moment. To connect in this big medicine. To begin or to continue to heal the planet through healing ourselves. And just begin to take a couple of deep breaths. Bring your energy, your attention, and your awareness back to your physical body. You can stretch, yawn if you need to. And Robin, absolutely. I've worked on that for my family. Is a big signature that it happens quite frequently through the feminine experience. Not that it doesn't happen in every experience, but the really big, it's, the persecution of women, happened often through sexual trauma. So I have yet to have a female client who didn't need to release trauma. Even if it wasn't for her, it ran through the family and needed to be released and birthed. So, and Christine, you are very welcome. I think everyone needed that. So, one of the things that can assist you in this process, you guys know all about my oils. I've talked about them. So I'm going to have Rob bring up my website, which is trinitymysticalenergy.com. And that is a place where I have crystals and I have oils that help. Release Your Story is the oil that helps continue to release those vibrations. And it allows your energy body to remember how to let those things go. Because for those of you who've worked with Akashic records, it energetically, you can experience it as a book. And all of that book is the story. And in the story, if we want to change it, if we want to edit our story, we send the healing through and we basically do a rewrite, right? Our release and edit, that no longer is true. A redacted document, maybe, except there's no residue left. So it's one of the oils that helps continue to move that energy forward, and it helps you continue to release anything that you may have experienced like that. And I highly recommend it if you're going to do anything like this, because it helps with any energetic residue that, maybe you didn't realize the connection went through 2 locations rather than just one. That's another thing that you may experience. So Marie says, how beautiful. I love the part, release from its beginning and its end. I know it's been a new thing. I see it let go. And it's like it evaporates back to that first impact, and then it poofs. So yeah, it's quite fun. So I'm glad you guys enjoyed that. I want to let you know that, the format's changing. Some of the stuff's changing because Star Nations is going to be on a little bit of a hiatus as Neshi takes some time to move through her grieving process with her mother and her mother-in-law, and even just life change with her husband retiring. It's as a healer, times when we need to reconnect with our own inner energy and take time in our own releasement process. So I am so thankful that she's going to be able to do that. So next week we'll still be live here on Facebook and on YouTube. And the week after that, we're going to be going straight live to YouTube. It's going to be a little bit easier for us. We'll post the link on Facebook for those of you who are Facebook fans. But we will be broadcasting live on YouTube because it gives us a little more space to do our thing, which is good. And next week, to kind of honor our last day where we're doing the dual broadcast on Facebook and YouTube at the same time, I'm going to have some special goodies. I'm going to have some giveaways. I'm going to do some readings, and we're going to do some healing. We're going to do the whole mix of things. And then I'll let you guys know about my new YouTube channel that I'll be posting my healings and continuing to do at least every week. And sometimes I'm going to do more than once a week. So I look forward to sharing that all with you. I'm going to end a smidge early. because I've had a really big day. And I hope I'll see you guys next week. The oil blend is called Release Your Story. It's fantastic. And it uses all therapeutic grade essential oils. So it's spot on. And the ingredients are listed right on the website in case you have allergies. So just click on our Mystical Boutique and then you'll see what's all there. And don't order incense because for some reason it's glitchy still. We're fixing that Saturday. But everything else is there. The crystals, the oils, the books, they're all there. So with that, you guys have a fantastic night. And thank you for helping me with my personal mission, which is to heal the healers, because we need you guys out there. Mwah. Have a great night. Bye, guys.